All right, all right. This is Dave Z, and we are back with Freddy versus Jason. It's been a very long time since we've done this on this channel. We've been very busy with the podcast, of course, but an opportunity presented itself, so hopefully this leads to more of these. I don't know. This is, I'm a little rusty at a YouTube video. Like I said, the podcast, people that are seeing this are accustomed to the podcast, and it's a whole different ballgame. I'm never alone. So on the podcast, it's three of us. But we'll see how it goes. Will I be decent? I don't know. I do okay with the podcast, I guess, but this is a whole different thing. But hopefully my daughter will at least like this. She's 14, Frankie Z. And, of course, all about YouTube and everything else. So hopefully it'll be good enough, for her. Because one of the things she said to me was, make sure you have good lighting. And I was like, well, okay, I came down here. I had a light set up, and it was like really bright. So I took this light down. I took another light down. I mean, I looked white as a ghost. So I said, yeah, forget about it. So it's going to be, cut me a little slack because this is the first one. We'll see how it goes. I don't know. But we're going to do this. I'm going to try not to. People that listen to the show know that I'm all about my notes. I'm always looking at my notes. I can't do reviews without my notes. I guess I'm okay at what I do with the podcast, but without my notes, I don't know. I'm almost afraid to try it without the notes. But anyway, let's get back to this. Freddy vs. Jason, I guess we'll call it episode 1 because it's the first episode in a long time. So hopefully this is the start of something new. I just happened to get a movie here, and I'm going to talk about it. And hopefully, we get more of these. This one just was released on Tuesday, the 20th. Spree. Brand new movie. This one was just sent to me recently, and it's RLJE Films. Nice little slipcover. See, there you go. Right on. And it stars Joe Keery, and it also stars Sashir Zamata as Jesse. Joe Keery is the lead, Kurt. Then we have David Arquette, which was nice to see, and Kyle Mooney, Misha Barton, and, somebody else who played a major part in it is an unknown. Joshua Ovale plays Bobby, and he had a lot more to do than some of the other people that I've already mentioned. So, but he doesn't have a picture on IMDb or anything like that, but he did pretty good. And this is the kind of movie you're watching YouTube right now. This is basically about a guy who is, it's funny because he's so much better at it than I could be or am at this stage. And the story is that this guy basically, he's been doing this for a long time. 10 years he's been doing YouTube videos, and he's a content creator, and he's doing different things. And he even has the foresight to become a babysitter because he wants to be able to relate to the younger generation. So he babysits for years. He starts in 2009, and this is, taking place in 2019. So he's babysitting this guy, Bobby, and some other people, but Bobby's the only one that figures into it later. But it's funny, he never hits double digits. He does all this different stuff. It looks really good. It's really professional. He's got all kinds of editing software and everything else. I mean, if you take a look at a lot of these people on YouTube, and a lot of them don't do anything. Like me, for example. Here's me talking. There's no graphics. There's none. Maybe down the road I can learn if this takes off. But people will tell you it's not easy to do. I know I have a lot of friends on here that are content creators, and they don't do anything like this. So this guy, he's really, really, working hard to do this, and it's just not going anywhere. Like the kid Bobby that he babysits for, he's older now, and he's kind of a big shot, and he's doing Instagram stuff. And basically that's what this movie's about. It's not exactly like a laptop horror like we've been seeing, Unfriended, and what else came out this year? Host, movies like that. It's not exactly like that, but it's similar. And I didn't know that. And found footage is my cup of tea. Anyone that knows me or listens to the show, or they know that I'm really into it. So I put this movie in, not knowing that this was this kind of movie. I just knew that it was called Spree. People that know me know that I go in blind. I don't want spoilers. I don't want anything. I'm happy to go on. So I check it out. This movie it's a lot of, it's through the eyes of Instagram. It's through the eyes of different cameras because the guy puts cameras in his car. Every time, I will say that's one good thing about this movie is that the way they implement the cameras really works, because anytime you see a camera, it tells you what it is. Like if it's not in the guy's car when he's driving around, and it's not a live video on Facebook or a live video on Instagram, then it'll tell you where it's coming from. It'll say on the bottom that it's, property of this restaurant or this surveillance camera or whatever it is. So, for the people that like to question how come there's video here and everything else, they answer that question. How it was all pieced together for this particular movie, that's another story, but that's kind of what you have to accept in these type of movies. And you just go with it. And, and they do it well. The fact that they use all this really well, implementation of different, social media and everything else, and how the cameras are on, and especially what they do with the Instagram. Because anytime you see an Instagram, it's like, I have to watch this movie a second time, because as you're watching it, it's so realistic. Like the one kid, Bobby, has a decent amount of followers, tens of thousands. And then there is a model later on, and we meet her. Pardon me, she's a DJ, not a model. She probably should be a model, but she's a DJ, and she has even more followers. And she has triple, 5 digits. People are just commenting on her stuff, and we're watching it. Sometimes it's split screen. Sometimes you just see one camera, what's going on here, and then in the corner you're going to see the other camera, and it's going to be basically like looking at this, but it's an Instagram, and you're seeing all the comment, and the comments are flying as they would be on a busy video, somebody that's popular and that has a whole bunch of followers. So you can't even keep up with it. Like, you could decide to watch the movie, or you could turn your head and just watch all the comments go, and they're one after another, and there's people trolling, and they're saying this. But the thing is, it's done so realistically that it's top notch the way they do it. Like, it's legitimately like watching an Instagram, a live video, any live video with the comments and the way people comment and everything. It is so authentic, and that's what you need in a movie like this. If it doesn't look authentic, it's not going to work. It's simple as that. But when you really, you go the extra mile and you make it look as authentic as possible, I mean, that's what it's all about. That's what separates the men from the boys here. And this is a good movie. I was pleasantly surprised. It's I'll get to the plot again. So Kurt's World is the name of this guy's his YouTube. And like I said, he's never hit double digits, and he really tries. He just doesn't have the personality for it, I guess. And he just doesn't have, it never catches on. And he tries different things, so you kind of feel bad for him. He does this thing called The Lesson, #TheLesson. And it's just, he tries different things, but nothing seems to work. And, it's a little frustrating for him. So at one point he says, I haven't been feeling good lately. I haven't been feeling like myself. I'm going to try something new. I'm going to join Spree. He said, a ride share thing, so he's going in and he's trying something. We saw a movie last year called Ride, I think, RYDE, one of those type of things. But like I said, this one's done found footage style. So it's, this guy goes in there and he sets cameras up everywhere. He has, 2 cameras on the front seat, cameras on the side, completely loaded up. And then he puts, he tricks it out with these lights, like neon lights that are going on the inside of it. And he comes off professional at first. We don't know what he's doing, but he calls his friend Bobby, who's the kid he used to babysit, who's kind of a big deal on YouTube. And he says, hey, will you, or on Instagram, because he goes, will you put me on your live feed? He goes, I'm going to do this tonight. Put me on your feed. And the kid's like, yeah, okay, that's fine. He's kind of a big shot gamer and everything else. But he just kind of deals with this guy, Kurt. He used to babysit for him. I don't know, maybe he feels he owes him, or he just doesn't want to be a jerk. So it's like, okay, if you do something interesting, I'll put it on my live feed. So it's like, yeah, I got this great idea. So he signs up with Spree, and he decides, I'm going to do 6 in a day. And we don't know what he's talking about exactly. I mean, it's a horror movie, and if you know about the premise at all, you kind of know where it's going. But sets up all the cameras, and he's going to go on a killing spree is what he's going to do. And he's going to record it all. How he thinks he's going to get fame from this and not go to prison, I don't know. Maybe he doesn't care. He just wants fame. I mean, that's That's, I guess, the moral of the story here. But he goes out, he picks up one guy, the first guy he picks up, he ends up being like a white supremacist. So right off the bat, at first I wasn't sure how I was going to feel about it, because the first two people he meets just aren't really pleasant people. And you're like, okay, so he's going to kill people that we don't like. Why don't we make it realistic where he picks up, normal people or something, and then see how he handles that? Because, I mean, what are the odds that every person you're going to pick up is going to be a jerk? It just, I don't know. So at first I was like, well, I don't know how I'm going to feel about this. It's a little bit far-fetched. Let's have some normal people in here. And it's kind of cool because he does something with the water. That's his gig. That's how he's going to, get these people in a compromising position where he's going to take advantage of them. So he shows you a video prior to going out on this, on this spree, if you will. And he shows how he sets up the water bottles and how he, poisons them and stuff. Anyone that listens to my show, I know I keep talking about the podcast, but if you listen to me, I'm really uptight about spoilers. So there's really only so much I want to say here. But I did enjoy the movie, and I just don't want to get into the details. The fact that I mentioned the water thing is already more than I wanted to say. But picks up a few people. It goes a certain way. And then he picks up somebody else, and this guy is a jerk as well, and he's on something called social. It's not like a regular thing. It's like a ride share where you're not by yourself. You can actually pick up other people on the way. I never do Uber or anything like that, so I'm not sure how it works, to be honest. But either way, so he has a guy in a car, and the guy's kind of real, toxic masculinity type dude. And, he gets a message to go pick up somebody else. And he's like, I'm going to go pick this person up. He's like, no, this and that. And he goes, oh, you're on the ride share. You're on, I forgot what it was called, social or something like that. I forgot the name, but it was the different one that he signed up for, where it's a social spree, so other people can jump in. So he goes and he picks up this girl. He sees this girl, and at first the girl sees him and the guy in the car, and she's like, no, thank you. But then she gets inside, and it turns out that this girl is actually a semi-famous comedian, and she's doing this, and right away the guy in the back seat is attracted to her. Doesn't know she's a comedian at first, but then Kurt talks to that guy Bobby, and he shows what he's doing. He's like, wait a minute, that's so and so. That she's famous. She's she's blowing up this girl. So there you go. So now her cover's blown, and then she gets out, and now she is all about social media. So she's on her Instagram, and she's filming this guy who's hitting on her too strongly and everything else, and she's making a joke of the guy driving Kurt, our antagonist here. And because he's really trying to, market himself. So it's so funny because she puts him on. He's like, yeah, Kurt's World, this and that, follow for follow. He says it, and, she thinks it's a big joke as the way, how he's trying so hard and everything else. So he ends up meeting this girl. She has a following, and then, it goes a certain way, and then she ends up getting out and going about her business. And then we come to find out that Kurt, his parents are divorced, and some bad things went down with both parents, I think. But we talk about that, and we meet her father later, and that's David Arquette. And his father keeps calling, asking for a ride, and he has to keep shutting him down because he's trying to do the spree thing. So he's calling him, and he's hanging up. And later on, we find out that his father is going to be, he's a DJ. He's going to be DJing at this club, he says. And somebody's going to be there called DJ Uno. So now this DJ Uno is an even bigger deal than this comedian, or so it seems. But they're both a big deal. So he just so happens to be bumping into these people. All he wants to do is get some fame on social media. And as soon as he starts doing the spree thing, situations present themselves. First we have the comedian girl, and then we have the DJ girl. And her name is DJ Uno, and he mentions it as they're on the camera on Bobby, who is a tiny bit famous. So, I mean, there's a lot of weird things you have to just accept, but it's fun. It's a fun ride. It goes along just fine. When we get to the climax and what goes down there, that's where I usually fall out of these movies if it's not done right, and it is done right. It's fun. The kills are fun. The characters there's good characters and bad characters, but they're believable enough. And it's making a statement without, beating you over the head with it. But it's fun. Like I said, and there's a cool little switch later on. It goes somewhere. There's a couple twists and turns, but it is fun. I like where it goes, and I like what it's saying. They do it in the best way, like I said, without hitting you over the head. But one thing leads to another. We get some kills. I'm not going to give things away, but I enjoyed it more than I thought I was going to. And I'm going to talk about the special features. In the beginning, like I said, when you see this Kurt guy, it's funny because the girl makes fun of him and calls him Squirt's World because his thing is called Kurt's World. So this girl puts it into a comedy act. He goes, hey, here we are, Squirt's World, hashtag Squirt's World, and it's all over Instagram. So there's a lot of people doing different stuff on live, on Instagram and things like that. But it is fun. It works out. It's believable enough. I mean, the circumstances that present themselves, they are what they are, that they all just happen to come together in one night, but it does work out. It's believable enough is what I'm going to say. So it's a fun ride. But to the special features on this particular Blu-ray, they have the whole thing on Kurt. Like it's basically, if you were to go on Kurt's channel, if he was a real YouTuber, and he has his life story, and that's like a 15-minute thing. And then we have little bits and pieces that are used in the beginning of the movie where we're being introduced to the character of Kurt, and he does this and he does that, and the little different things he tries. So it's kind of cool. They have a whole, special features section, and it's just all these complete little videos, as if this guy was really, a guy that did stuff on YouTube. So works out cool. It's fun. It's a good movie. We always give ratings 1 to 10 on the podcast for new movies. Although for brand new movies, we usually give like head explosions. And if you're not familiar with the podcast, I'm not going to break that whole thing down right now. I'm going to just give a rating, and I'm going to say this is an 8 out of 10. So this is Spree. It just became available on Tuesday. Check it out. Hope to see you guys again. Happy Halloween. Love you guys. Thank you. See ya.